Hello, happy Saturday. I am still in my post-holiday clear everything out of my house mode. So we're gonna go take a big box of stuff to donate at, oh, not sure what's happening. I'm gonna take a big box of stuff to drop off at a donation center, and then I'm gonna stop at the library and pick up a few books that I put on hold. I love to read, I read a lot, but I've also been trying to get books more from the library, at least get them from the library first, and then if I like them enough to buy them, then buy them, and then I have an appointment after that. So trying to time this out right so that I get there on time. About to take this big box of stuff to the donation center. I'm about to go get a manicure, and I never thought I would be somebody who actually liked getting my nails done, mostly because the nail salons just feel so toxic. But I found this completely non-toxic nail salon here. They only use a couple of different product lines that are like free of the harmful chemicals, and it's nail polish that like actually makes your nails stronger and healthier. They don't even use any water, so it's like more sustainable. It's a nice environment. There's none of the crazy fumes. Like I don't feel like I am breathing in a bunch of terrible stuff. So shout out to Catherine here at Haven Nail Studio, who I have been seeing regularly now, and she has made it a really enjoyable experience. So it's very cold out here, and every winter when it gets really cold, my windowsill completely freezes up at night. So every morning I wake up to this layer of ice, and this is actually not that bad compared to what it can be. It can be like completely frozen over, but then it just proceeds to melt all day and leave water all over my windowsill, and I basically spend all day cleaning it up. So that's fun. One thing that I wanted to note about exercising or working out, especially when you have chronic fatigue or maybe some other kind of chronic health issue, maybe that's chronic pain or just anything that makes it more difficult to get movement in or to maybe recover well from exercise. I, for one, feel really grateful that I'm at a point now where I can exercise or work out regularly and not feel like it's really hard to recover. And I know some people with maybe more extreme versions of chronic health issues might have a really hard time with exercise because doing too much or even doing a little bit could mean that you're having to rest for a couple of days or really kind of paying the consequences. But for me, exercising and strength training in particular has been a pretty important part of my whole health journey and really keeping regular movement as part of my routine. A couple of reasons. One, I do find that for me, at least now, doing some kind of movement, particularly in the morning, helps me feel more energized. I think for me, I've actually struggled more with like low cortisol in the morning, so I don't always have that sort of like increase in energy after I get up, and getting moving first thing really helps to give me a little bit of an energy boost in the morning, as well as kind of providing more like mental clarity, which I think is just kind of a benefit of exercise in general. I also find that exercise helps me sleep better, which again, I think that's sort of a physiological side effect of exercising or getting movement throughout the day, is that it is going to help your circadian rhythm. It's just going to help everything and all the things that lead up to getting a better night's sleep. And obviously for me, sleep is really important to feeling better, so that's also a big piece of this. Exercise also helps with detoxification, which is another really important thing for me in particular, knowing that I don't detox particularly well. Environmental toxins have maybe a bigger effect on me. Anything that I can do to just kind of promote detoxification is going to be helpful. And maybe most importantly, there was a time in the past where I really struggled with low bone density. I was almost diagnosed with osteoporosis at one point. And so even if exercise or heavy strength training might be a bit of a stressor on my body or something that I have to be careful not to overdo, again, I think for me, it was like the benefits of this, especially for something like bone density, is so important, especially in the long term and for later in life, that even if I might sort of suffer a little bit more in the short term in terms of maybe feeling a little more tired, a little more fatigued because of doing exercise, that doing strength training for that bone density is really critical, and lifting heavy enough that I am putting enough impact on my bones to create that building effect. And now, more recently, when I've done bone density testing, I am not at risk anymore, which is super awesome, and also sort of makes me want to make sure that I continue with the strength training and keeping that up. But also, because exercise is going to be a part of my daily life, I really am focused on recovery from that exercise as well. So I'm really paying attention to nutrition, getting enough protein, getting enough nutrients overall to support those workouts, getting enough sleep, keeping a consistent sleep schedule, and making sure that, again, I'm giving my body a chance to actually recover and repair, and doing other things. Like for me, it might be sauna or Epsom salt baths, foam rolling, stretching every night. When I'm doing some kind of cardio on days that I'm not strength training, it's very low intensity cardio, kind of like the equivalent of taking a walk, or if I'm on an elliptical or something like that, like doing it at a level that is similar to walking. So my body is really kind of getting some active recovery in and not doing a lot of high intensity cardio that is going to be consistently stressing my body. So all of these things that are really actively pursuing recovery, I do think that contributes a lot to why I'm actually able to exercise consistently and like do enough strength training, enough heavy strength training, support things like bone density and building muscle. There was a time in the past, earlier in this whole process, where I really wasn't recovering that well. I was doing a lot of high intensity cardio. I was teaching spin classes. Before that, I did a lot of running, like really sort of much more stressful exercise on my body. I was also strength training, but I wasn't as dialed in with my nutrition. I don't think I was getting enough nutrients or protein. I was basically doing a lot of sort of wearing my body down, but not enough of that recovery aspect to allow my body handle that amount of exercise or to really benefit from it. And ultimately, that just kind of made how I felt worse and kind of made my overall symptoms worse. Probably was not impacting my hormones and everything else in the most positive way. So it did take some time to figure out what was going to work, what was going to actually be beneficial for me, what was going to like feel good physically, but also have a positive long-term effect and actually like support my hormones, support some of the things that my body is struggling with, or the areas where I might need a little more help, like detoxification or bone density. So yeah, I guess that's just kind of my 2 cents on exercise, especially when you have chronic fatigue or some kind of health issue that makes it difficult. Really focusing on recovery, finding the kinds of exercise that work for you, that feel good for you, that you are able to really recover from well, and that are gonna ultimately support your long-term health and wellness goals. Okay, it's a couple days later and I realized I never ended this video, but I also recently got a new supplement that I have started taking as part of my sort of heavy metals detoxification process. So this was something that in one of my previous videos when I met with my naturopath to go over my heavy metals test results, she had suggested giving this a try because it's something that is very gentle and very tolerable, something that I could basically take every day long term. It's not gonna be like the most effective thing to get rid of heavy metals, but just something that's like a good everyday addition that is likely not going to bother my stomach. It's not going to have any side effects. And with a lot of the heavy metals detoxification methods, the difficulty is that because even when it's pulling out heavy metals, it's also pulling out a lot of like minerals, the good stuff, the stuff that you want to stay in there. It's also going to bind to those things and pull that out. So a lot of times when you're doing some kind of more intensive heavy metals detox, you have to also add in a lot of additional support in the form of mineral supplementation. But with this is just modified citrus pectin. And obvious disclaimer, I'm not a doctor. I'm not suggesting that anybody try this. If you are in a similar situation to me or you have reason that you're wanting to add in some kind of detoxification support, talk to your own doctor before you start anything. But it's basically just a powder that I add to water. I've been just adding it to my morning hydration drink. Take it on an empty stomach, and it can be really effective in binding to some heavy metals and helping you get them out of your body. So I've been taking this for a couple of days now. Haven't had any kind of side effects, which is great. Very easy thing to add in. I could just mix it with some water if I wanted to, but it's always nice to find something that's pretty simple and effective, but also really gentle and like not gonna have any kind of side effects to it. That said, I also am in the very beginning stages of investigating IV chelation therapy, which is used in more cases like mine where you have sort of long-term evidence of significant heavy metal exposure, especially to things like lead and mercury that are harder to get rid of. Right now, I've only contacted one clinic here in Minnesota that does it, and there still would be a few steps in that process of like I would have to become a patient there, or like I would have to go do just an initial appointment, talk to their doctors about what the process is like, what kind of protocol they would want me to do and how often and all that stuff. And the only kind of problem is that this place is like 2 hours away from me, so it would definitely be kind of a time investment if I do decide to proceed with that. And I also just want to get a little more information from them about basically the overall risks and benefits, or like how effective they think it would be for me and whether it's worth doing and how long I would have to do it, how often I would have to do it, all those things. I haven't really committed to doing that by any means, but am going to look into it because it does seem like it might be the next option that I need to try if I really want to get rid of some of these heavy metals. But in the meantime, we'll be taking my modified citrus pectin, continuing with my saunas and other forms of detox support, hoping those things will really help in the long run. I think that's all I've got for now. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.